All right, my friends, welcome back to Salt City Counseling. Once again, my name's Scott. I'm a licensed therapist here in the beautiful state of Utah. Thanks for being here. This is going to be a kind of a different video outside of my norm. This is a very special episode of Salt City Counseling. All sarcasm and humor aside, this is a serious topic. I tend to sprinkle serious topics with humor. I think it helps. I think it just helps in general. Um, this video is intended. I'm going to talk about the silent epidemic of suicide, particularly amongst men and boys, but our teen boys. And years ago, I was really involved in the teen suicide issue. This is pre-COVID, and I was really highly involved in that. It's an area and a topic that I'm super passionate about. And at the time, there's a lot of political issues. There's a lot of not that there's not now, but the problem of teen suicide remains, and it's largely represented about 80% by boys and men. And I continue to hear story after story after story. I mean, I've had a couple of these discussions with a group of friends, and it's fascinating to have adults pipe up. And this happened just the other day, the day before last. Some of the adults are telling me about the boys and men that they have known in their lives that have ended their lives. And everybody seems to know at least one person, and some people tell me that they know multiples. There's a multitude of men and boys that they know who have committed suicide. Anyways, so because this issue is really important to me, because teenagers are really important to me, because teen boys especially are really important to me. I relate to them. And I'm a male therapist that works with teen boys, and one of the few perhaps that's actually good with them, that actually can create a relationship with these kids and help them. I decided to try and bring back a program that I was working on developing a few years ago. I kind of let it die because I was frankly just experiencing some severe professional burnout, and my health was suffering as a result. Here I am years later. I'm feeling a lot better. So what I'm getting at here is that I developed an experiential therapy program for boys. It's sort of similar to the Boy Scouts, but I find the Boy Scouts to be antiquated. I find the Boy Scouts to be difficult to relate to. I mean, I was kind of forced into the Boy Scouts when I was a kid through a certain religion that at the time was affiliated with the Boy Scouts, but is no longer affiliated. And I didn't like the Boy Scouts. Like back then, they had merit badges for things like bugling, right? Like what? And the Boy Scouts have been antiquated. They still have those god awful uniforms, those god awful merit badges that you put on the god awful sashes. And no offense to those of you out there that like the Boy Scouts, but it was a way for, at least in my experience with Boy Scouts, it was a way for parents to like elevate their kid to be better than your kid. Just make their kid earn merit badges so they could show their kid off like a trophy. Anyways, so the I call it the Young Warrior Project. Mine is called the Young Warrior Project. It's really about a group for boys, for them to be taught and raised and mentored and cared about by men who care about them becoming men, because that's what they need. There's a lot of vitriol directed at males, at boys and men these days. I did a TikTok video recently that was actually went pretty viral. It was over 1 million views and counting currently at the time of making this. And it's interesting to see the number of people that are like telling men to just be better. And it's like, okay, well, since you want them to be better, you should help support me in my endeavors to actually care about these kids and help them get raised well. And instead of sitting in therapy, the Young Warrior Project is intended for them to go and have experiences and make friends and connect with other males and find father figures if they don't have father figures, or if they need a father figure, or maybe they have a father in their life. And the Young Warrior Project is intended also to create bonding experiences for kids who don't really have close relationships with their dads, too, for example. But it's a therapy group. at the end of each activity, because each group is intended to have them do an activity, for them to be engaged in something that's fun, challenging, where they learn, they face their fears, all kinds of stuff like that. It's very important for boys to be able to do this these days because we're just losing them at a record rate, and frankly, they need to have these experiences. They need to learn and grow through these experiences, not just sit and talked at. So, anyways, all that being said, I have a request out there for any and all of you out there in the internet land. This is going to be kind of a tough request, but you can help me. It's totally up to you, but I would appreciate it if if some of you would be willing to contact me through my email. I'll put it in the description below. And it's simply, my request is this: if you have lost a son or a brother to suicide, I'm hoping that you will reach out to me and let me use your story and his story as a way to talk about this issue, to have some faces and some names. We can honor these kids and talk about these kids in a way that we lost them, sadly, and that we want to save others. And mostly, I'm kind of looking for those stories of, tragedy and loss, but for us to be able to talk about this issue and give it a face and give it a name. And I know it's a big request. It can be a big request, but if you really want to help me help other kids, I hope that you will reach out to me. Tell me your story. Tell me your son's story. Let me help mourn your loss for them. For them just a little bit, because I always do. I hear these stories all the time. I was with a group of friends, and they were telling me how one friend was telling me about how their son's best friend was a kid that they basically helped raise because his home life was troubled, and so this kid was at their house almost as much as he was at home, and they helped raise this kid. And as a young adult, he went up in the canyon and shot himself, right? And I hear these stories all the time. I hear them all the time, and it's so important for us to care about this issue and care about these kids. So if you're willing to share your story for me and let me use your story as a way to bring attention to this issue, I hope that you will reach out and contact me. Again, my email is in the description below. I realize that's a big ask, but again, I'm just my desire is to bring attention to this issue. I find that people are more compassionate, more willing to listen to this issue if I can talk about individual kids who are just so important, and we just lost them too soon. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you will reach out to me. Appreciate you being here. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Take care.